Native culture and identity are complicated, as you may have realized from the previous video. A huge part of why it is complicated is that when Native people were originally colonized and forcibly assimilated into settler culture, Native communities were required to adopt many Western institutions, values, and community structures that were inherently at odds with traditional culture. For example, communities that may have been matriarchal in nature, who perceived child rearing as being a community responsibility, or whose notions of family were in conflict with American nuclear monogamous family structures, often had to choose assimilation over houselessness and death. For some, but not all tribes, taking on American-style government and economic structures brings about major challenges. Which brings us to the modern concept of tribal membership. In the United States, Native tribes have the right to political sovereignty, which means that they can make their own rules and laws surrounding tribal membership. That is, who officially belongs to the community and who does not. It's kind of like citizen requirements in the United States. If a person is an enrolled member of a tribe, then they are a citizen of that tribal nation. Enrolled members may have greater access to public health, education, housing, economic, and cultural resources than non-enrolled members. For example, some Indian health centers require proof of a tribal membership in order to receive services. The problem is, because of the history of relocation, family separation, and strict membership protocols, it is possible and common for people to have clear Native ancestry and not be an enrolled member of a tribe. Sometimes people are even closely connected culturally to their community, but are still not official members. Being a Native person but not having a tribal membership can be a confusing thing, and it's important to remember that many Native people do not have memberships for lots of legitimate reasons. Maybe their family didn't document lineage properly, or the documentation was lost, or the family was assimilated into Western culture due to violence and lost touch with the tribe. Or maybe a child was separated from their Native community due to adoption, or that internal conflicts within tribal communities led to specific families being targeted, ignored, or disenrolled. Here's a quick insight into the history of tribal membership. As the U.S. government forcibly removed Native people from their lands, they often required communities to legally take on English or Spanish names. Governments often provided small allotments of land for Native communities to live on, required people to enter monogamous marriages, and finally enter their information into a legal record holding all the names and addresses of the people in their tribal communities. This record is known as a roll book. The problem with this method of determining membership is that sometimes families were left out of the roll book, or families were lumped into tribal communities to which they were not a part of ancestrally. Some rebellious Native families chose to not enter their information into the BIA's roll book at all, since it shouldn't take the American government recognizing one's identity to prove that one's family is Native. Again, it's complicated. Some common ways for determining membership are showing a documented lineage connecting oneself to a founding member of the tribe that's linking back to that roll book, requiring a certain percentage of tribal blood clearly documented, known as blood quantum, requiring lineage from a father or mother's side of the family, requiring democratic votes on whether people should be accepted as members or not. While for some tribes, their method of determining membership is somewhat aligned with their traditional ancestral practices, for others, the method used for determining membership is completely Western and maybe misaligned with traditional values.